Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Tech Guy podcast, episode number 22. And we have a lot to talk about this week. And The last week episode didn't came, so that week episode, whatever we are going to that I was going to talk, especially last week, is now we are going to talk about that same thing in this week because last week I was basically not here, so it was much difficult to not even record the episode. So this week we are going to talk about, like I mentioned in the last episode, that we are going to talk about Epic and Apple case and other stuff. There is other stuff too, but the only reason last week episode didn't came, which was already ready, just I needed a place to record, but I didn't get it. But yeah, this week we are going to talk about it. We have a lot of good stuff to talk about this week, and yeah. So we have a couple of news. Like I said before, Apple and Epic case is already there. Then we are going to transition into Apple's search for AI engines, basically with their whole what they're going to do with the Safari and with their search engines. What there is a whole different case there too, but it is similar to what Apple case with Epic. Like again, quote, most of it is that is there is some kind of history there too. Then we are going to transition from there to I to Twitter's new algorithm, um, where it has been changed with Grok 3, which is actually really interesting to get to know. So we are going to talk about a little bit about that. Then we are going to hear about our AI news update. So in AI news and updates, we have two major things we are going to talk about. One is with Gemini. There are some couple of news slash updates with Gemini, and then the second news is about OpenAI, which is news but also update, and a good blog post by OpenAI they did in the last week, where they talk about much more deeper into how their 4O model was actually, what happened with it. Like we talked in the last episode, what happened with the O4 model of basically like what happened with the O4 model, but where it did behave like a sympathetic, they call it a kind of a sympathetic behavior, but they didn't go in a deeper. But in this blog post they talk about how much, like they just go deeper and told us how ChatGPT, like how they updates their newer model on the top of their existing ones, how they do testing, a lot of things. So we are going to focus on those points, how they updates and how they do testing, so you also get to know about their models and how they do it, especially the testing stuff. And yeah, this is couple of points that we are like news and slash updates and some discussion we are going to talk about in this episode of Tech podcast. We are at episode number 22. um this episode is mostly is going to be on time this Friday. So basically last week's episode, like this week episode, was going to be on last, you can say, Saturday or Friday, depending upon how I want it to be. But last week the episode didn't came. You wouldn't understand because you saw there was one episode that was in Tuesday, or I think, yeah, that was on Tuesday. So it is sorry, Tuesday or Wednesday. So you didn't know because that episode also I edited that. I recorded that episode last episode here, but I edited that episode out there when I was traveling. So it was really hard for me to even edit that episode regular. Like, even though it is not difficult to edit this kind of podcast, but again, when you are not in a regular space, and you know that I have already struggled with keeping up with the timeline with the episode. Like I can't even deliver every Friday, but with this week, with this break did I gotten got with the break did I have gotten with this episode, This week episode there will be definitely Friday upload, and with this I hope that I upload every week, every week Friday rather than on Saturdays, Sundays, or Mondays. So yeah, so let's just I think we will just dive in the episode of and let's see, let's just start the episode. Let's talk about the Apple and Epic case first. I think that was the major thing that happened a week ago, and definitely a lot of updates did came after that. And I'm glad I didn't rush this one to this topic, because the updates were coming like on day-to-day basis. So I was like, let's just make it better, and let's like at least have a conclusion to this topic, what we are going to talk about. So we do have a conclusion. So if you don't know what is Apple and Epic case, we have also talked about with the Apple's and EU case before and last year, where Apple EU case was going on with Apple's so monopoly in the, not monopoly but unfair advantage on the App Store, their App Store, and how Apple treats unfair with the amount of money, especially 30% they get on the in purchase app. So in the EU case, if you remember, we have already talked it in the, like it was couple of episode back, like last year only. So and we also covered it on our newsletter, I think. Yep, yeah, definitely. We covered it on our newsletter too. So what happened in that case was Apple lose, and basically Epic won that case. And so the conclusion of that case was basically that Epic can have a third party side loading. So basically any in EU now, anyone can sideload, like basically without any apps, like they don't need app store to get the apps on their phone. That's the general thing. So now Fortnite is available, Epic Games is available, Epic Games own store is available on the Apple, and they are doing better. Like the whole point of that case was what Apple did whenever there was, like, what was the whole point of that case was basically Apple was getting an unfair advantage and using its power that they had, that they have created, to or to basically overstage, like basically becoming kind of an upper hand over a lot of these small companies. Epic is kind of a big company, we know that, but the problem occurs when it affects small companies. But it got a lot of bigger attention because Apple and Epic was so forward in this case, with especially like Tim Sweeney, like the CEO of Epic, all like backing up this case so hard, tweeting regularly last year too, and this time too he's openly talking about what what is going on case, how he is disappointed with Apple. So it got a lot of attention because of him and his company, and I'm glad that it got attention, because it is kind really frustrating to see how Apple uses, like any kind of company uses its power of they have, or they have created with the ecosystem, and with the money they can get through it. So what the conclusion in that case came is basically any app, there can be multiple uh, stores, app stores, and anyone can sideload their app through web or any another store, and there doesn't has to be on app store, which is a big thing. The reason why it happened is because Apple was taking 30% of this in purchase, whatever the purchase was happening from in app store. So it was kind of an, you can say, a really big deal for regular people, like especially in the gaming, where Epic was solely into this, where the in-game purchases happens a lot of time. And what happens is, because of that, it's not just about games. It's like there you can see in in Fortnite there is V-Bucks in and the Epic has their own like basically uh own app, like basically own game store, and they have also competition with other game stores too, like Steam is there. And so basically with the because of that there was no in-app mobile for, you can say, Epic, and they were openly showing that too. And similar to them there was Spotify too, with their own case for like for a decade that they are fighting to. We will also talk about that. So basically what happened with Epic and Apple in EU is like EU in EU Epic won, and again they can sideload their apps. And Apple is still taking 30%. It's just their what they have given uh, loosen with restriction is that anyone can sideload that app, which is a big deal because now Fortnite and big games are available, and big app stores or multiple app stores are available in EU right now. Similar to that same thing happened in the last 2 weeks in the US too. What that means is now there are two major things that court has announced is that court made the case in which in the US where Apple needs to loosen their policy regarding the outside payment guide basically, and also other major part that we are going to talk about later. But with the help, you can the first point I talk about is then they now have to loosen the, you know, policy regarding outside payment guide and also in-app purchases. Now what is happened is due to this statement given by the court to Apple, Apple needs to loosen its restrictions. What does that mean by Apple needs to loosen their policy regarding outside payment guide? So, if you don't know, Spotify uh, is a music service where you will listen to music most of the time. I listen to Spotify multiple things, but what happened with Spotify and Apple is insane. So, Apple, when they introduce, they will take 30% of the tax, like you can say, like the payment, whatever the purchase over every purchase they are gonna make. What happened was Spotify, which is toe to toe with other competitors, like basically like Google Play, Google's YouTube Music, then there is Apple Music, then there is Amazon, then there is like a lot of other stuff. What happened with this new uh, what happened with the Spotify and Apple is ultimately Spotify saw that they were getting an unfair, you can say, unfairness towards the payment. Spotify's whole case was why are we even getting this 30% fee to the, which is a lot. And there were also things like, is Apple Music paying to even Apple, like their own app, that 30% fee? No, definitely not. And how are they getting this so low price subscriptions for their own services, which was quite interesting to know. So Spotify what Spotify tried to do back then is have a payment guide which you can go outside. Like whenever you used to go for premium, uh, basically premium purchase on in-app in your mobile app, Spotify doesn't have it. And now what they did back in those days is like they used to guide people to make payment outside the app store and go to their web page and make a payment there, which you can get it much more cheaper. So Apple's policy were so hard that they say to Spotify that you can't even do that too. Like you can't add even a guide to for people to make payments from outside the App Store too. So that was kind of a ridiculous thing that when I first time read and first time, Even think about like you can't even like there were so many restrictions to just do payment from in app store just because they can get 30% fee, which is insane. Because like why are they doing it? It's like, first of all, is it available, like is it fair to just do it for Spotify? Like are Apple Music is giving that 30% fee? Because Apple is not even giving transparency towards that, like yeah, we are paying 30% fee from Apple Music too, you or even Apple Podcast. No, it is kind of an insane thing to have. So that is why Spotify is also fighting for Apple for like couple of years over this. And you can go, if you haven't updated Spotify in US right now, or you are outside of US right now, anywhere, especially outside of US, you can go and see your in-app uh, premium, in-app Spotify app, where you can go to the premium section, and you can see that Spotify has written, yeah, Spotify has written there is like, yeah, we know that, yeah, you can't buy premium here, and we know it's not an ideal option. And it is insane that they have like a big company like Spotify has to do it. And just imagine like Spotify and Epic are fighting this hard with Apple, then imagine what other developer with other small companies, like a small team, wants to grow there, which is again hard, when it comes to uh, surviving in this industry. So ultimately, what it was is a really strict policies by Apple. So everyone has to go through their own payment system with in App Store, so they can get a 30% fee. If you don't know, right now, um, Apple subscription service are one of the most biggest revenue for Apple, and they know it. Apple services, Apple payment, um, Apple subscriptions, and they're like that is their one of the biggest, I will say, subscriptions, where they have to, you know, sorry, and like it is one of their biggest revenue generated, and Apple doesn't want it to go, and like they want it to be easy to get it through, but it was not. And this whole thing was happening like past couple of years. Now with this whole new court order that Apple has to loosen their subscription, Apple has to Apple has to lose their restriction or policies regarding payment guide. Now you can go and see that Apple, in the new Spotify update that Spotify launched a week ago, where you can go and see that, and it has been also approved by Apple, that in this new update, where you can go and see that with this new update, that you can do payments outside of App Store, which is again 30% fee will be not taken, and the pricing of the subscription will remain same even if you are doing in-app purchases. So that was the major goal for Spotify to happen for a long time. And which which again, a really, you can say, a major thing to happen. And same with happened with Epic Store. Now Epic Store will be available, Fortnite will be coming to US now, at least for now in US, and which is a big deal. So now in this whole case, Apple has again approved for 30 days, uh kind of an Apple has kind of an reappeal regarding this whole loosen up restriction. But it doesn't matter now. People have seen it already. It's just like, I don't think it will anything change, at least for now. The second thing um, that shook me too, but also the quote that Apple's statement regarding the money they make, how much money they make on their app store. And their statement was, we don't know how much money we make in the app store. So you can see that the deliberate attempts, so much deliberate attempts from Apple to just, you know, don't tell how much money we are making through this 30% platform fee that we are getting through in-app purchases. So it was insane. It was being asked to, I think, the financial chairperson, and like, it was insane that they have given this statement. And it has happened before that Apple has been kind of in a big trouble where they have revealed that how much their money they are getting, especially with the Apple and Google case, where they were taking $20 billion a year to get Google as a default search engine in Safari. We will talk about that later much in detail in the second topic. But again, this statement about, we don't know how much money we are making, and I get it why they are restricting. But again, if you have everything transparent, why not? Is like, your company shares don't lie. Is like, you are making a good amount of money, we know what your sales are, we know how much platform fee you take. If you just confirm it, it will be a good thing, and it's not just about how much platform fee, how much fee app store is, how much money they are making from app store. It's like how much money they are making from like Apple Music, Apple Podcast. Is like, are they charging their own, like, are they charging their own themselves with the 30% fee? Obviously not. Why would they don't want that kind of a competition. So that now with Spotify, like, they can just get lower price because they will not include 30% tax fee. Like, with giving this one information, people will now ask more information, especially in court. So they didn't give this information, and they don't want to go to that route too, because when people will officially, or you can say with proof, find out that Apple was just making kind of an monopoly or kind of an unfair advantage over how others are, and now it is going to be just like insane. So though they just stopped here. Now, for up until this, while I'm recording, Fortnite will be available. It might be available to you right now in US only, obviously. And you can avoid 30% tax fee, obviously, while making different payment systems. So not a big deal for consumers. They are they can use happily. Now let's talk about why this all happened and why it was important in the first place. So a lot of people I saw on Twitter, again, to defending this policy. Not defending, but obviously people don't like companies. There will be different opinion, but there were some dumb opinions that I would like to address here. Dumb, because majority of the thing is like, it's ultimate win for consumers. That is we who use these services. Ultimately, we don't want that. I don't want to use a product that is being made by all the one company, and it's like, I don't fucking like, sorry, I don't like Apple Music, the way it sounds, the way it is. I don't like Apple Podcasts. The app is horrible. The majority of the podcasts I listen on, there is a Pocket Cast, then there is Spotify, then there is YouTube. That's it. You know, when you have multiple options as a consumer, it's a good thing to have, and it's a good thing in their industry to just have multiple options as a consumer, so that there is a good amount of competition to just choose. Second thing, people were talking about how Apple is not Apple is being fair and it's their own app store, and they should be able to charge whatever they want. Fair. That it is not about charging the amount of fee that they are charging to this, basically all the other apps. It is the hypocrisy of Apple about having and not being transparent towards this, you can say, platform fees. What I mean by that is when Spotify called out Apple, they were like, if you are charging us 30% platform fee, are you charging those same platform fee to yourself? Are you charging same platform fees to other apps, or is it just us because we are your big competition here? That was kind of a sentiment here. Ultimately, what it was like, Apple does lot of shady work behind just to have that revenue generation every year, so that they are in the game. But ultimately, it is not that kind of a big deal to keep that kind of transparency in this day and age, to have the trust of other people, especially your customers, and also of other companies that are working with collaborative towards other app. And if you are not having that kind of a transparency, how are you going to build your app store further? There is going to be a kind of an uh, uh, frustration towards Apple, and developers are not going to build their apps on that. you know like, they have built such a great community just because you want to earn some money without with being this kind of an finding loopholes with own our app with this is our app store. That is now how this business should work ultimately, and that is ultimately what I will say in this whole case is like, I will be a developer in future if it happens to me that I can see that unfair advantage towards me, that I am giving that 30% uh, platform fee, and ultimately what is happening with because of that, with that 30%, like, I'm just getting an unfair advantage. Sorry, they are just getting an unfair advantage over what I'm creating and trying to do it. So it is not just important, or it is not just about us, sorry, those two only companies, that is Epic and Spotify. They were having or handling this all better, and they will be there unless and until, like, if if they would have, if they wouldn't have even won this court case, they would have gone further and further. It is a win for us as ultimate consumers who have a great options of deals where we can go and pick, which is now much more easy than before. Now, it is not just because for us consumers, it is for our future developers who are going to develop apps and can have that kind of same level ground as what Apple has, as what Spotify has, what was other companies have. In, let's say, you are creating a music app for listening for everyone, you have the same thing. Now let's see what happens there in the App Store. See, it is kind of an having a similar ground and a fair advantage over everyone, and again, everyone can have a kind of a fair competition in that area. Just because you have made that platform, just because everyone is coming to you to, like, your services, that does not mean that you can have kind of that kind of unfair power towards everyone. That is this whole thing about, you know this whole Apple, Epic, and the win of creators that they're talking about. It's not about just these two companies. It's all about, having a step forward towards transparency. And what these big companies does that always I don't get it is having that kind of shady work they do, and later on they don't keep transparency over the period of time, and it just backfires them, and it's ultimately lose for them only. Ultimately they are going to get hurt, financially lost from this whole thing, because in this coming new generation, my generation, that is Gen Z, we are much more aware of what we and who we want to support. Like, even if Apple doesn't want to give Spotify or other people, that platform or in-app purchases, and we can't get same similar prices about Apple Music. If I don't like Apple Music, I will even not even use it. I will go two steps ahead and be kind of an in an even if it is difficult for me to go outside and just make a payment for through web, I will go and make it. That's what my stand is. It's not about just because I have money and spending over stuff like where I don't care, it's their problem. It's like there are people out there, and that is because of those people, that is because of people like us. We can see that unfair advantage is happening, and we can just support this kind of platforms. Now, I'm just talking about this Spotify and Epic. There are a lot of other things that in future it will be beneficial, you know. So I hope you guys just get can get the has gotten the basic idea of what this case was, what this ultimate um, conclusion was. Is because Apple lose, they can now lose the restriction towards payment system, and now Spotify and Epic has gone forward and made their updates regarding App Store. So in US, if you are in US right now, go do check it out. If you use Spotify, or if you like using like playing games like Fortnite, go do check it out. You can now play it on your phone. So Apple is looking for AI search engine. So this statement came from Eddie Q, who is Apple Senior Vice President of Service. Um, Basically, it came again in a quote where Eddie Q said that they are looking for AI search engines like Perplexity, Anthropic, like other search than Gemini and ChatGPT, because the reason why it was again in court, where there is again a court case going on with Apple and Google. Apple and Google, basically it's a Google case where it is going on for like past couple of years. So Google case again, it is with Department of Justice, where Google has already been lost in that case and said that Google is now a monopoly in the search, and it has already been declared. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about in a couple of episode ago, not a for a brief moment, just like a news, but Google is a monopoly according to the DOJ, which not surprising, which it is a monopoly in search, and the way it was again was insane. But if you want to read the full story, like like I have a thread that Verge has made, I will link out in the description below. So if you want to go into in depth in that Google case about how it got claim monopoly, and that I will link down in that description for you guys to read. But again, talking about uh, it was again from Mark Gurman. I will again link down Mark Gurman tweet. You can follow him for latest news regarding especially Apple, which is the man for that. Uh, so okay. So, Apple's senior vice president of service, ADQ, said that they are looking for different search engines. Now, why they are looking for different AI search engines? Because even if they have Gemini or even ChatGPT, the reason was simple: is in that whole Google case which was going on, one of the biggest shocking thing came is Apple was sorry, Google was paying Apple more like with like a $20 billion a year to keep Google as a default search engine on Safari. Again, how companies are just throwing money towards to keep going on in the business. So $20 billion yearly to keep uh, Google search engine as a default search engine in Safari, that is Apple's browser. Now, it it got declared couple of months ago when Google a monopoly case was going on, where Google has declared its search, like it was just before Google has been declared search, because adding up it just added up to that whole Google monopoly case. Now, if you just don't get the idea of how much of a big of a deal it is, it's like Google is paying Apple is like, hey, use our services than other, and Apple is getting that money just free, like yearly, just $20 billion. They want that users, and it's not that like Google is not making money, or that like they are making insane money, and it's just like they are giving Apple a cut to just like, yeah, like slide our search engine there. So that all came under so much under some unfair advantage towards other search engines, and code didn't like take it lightly, so definitely. uh, and later that a couple of weeks later, it got declared as monopoly. So the reason why ADQ is looking for different AI search engine, like Gemini, again there is Gemini and OpenAI. But the reason why let's the reason why he talk about different search engine is because he also stated that in last 22 years of their browsing, their history of search, they have seen a uh, dip in search in Google in Safari, which is getting them less revenue too. Basically, a lot of people are using AI search, AI chats, and due to that, a lot of people are now searching less, which is again a true. Lot of companies, sorry, lot of people are using AI for search, like having asking basic things. They don't go over search for Google for making any kind of basic thing to talk about, to get answers. They and then it got a dip in search in last 22 years for the first time, and they have to take it seriously, definitely. Now they are talking about AI search engines. Basically, AI search engine is like ultimately what search is available for ChatGPT. If you are using search in ChatGPT, search in Perplexity, there is available. Majority of the AI chatbot search is available. It is just searches for you and gives answers in a well format, like in the conversation way. But AI search engine, they are looking for AI search engines. But the interesting part for me in this whole thing was why Apple is giving names like Perplexity and Anthropic, DeepSeek, like uh, even DeepSeek, or even they talk about Grok, and I'm like, really? Like, for Apple Intelligence, are you really going to get this and talk with these companies, or is it just you are naming them in the code just to look fair in the whole you are talking about? Like, that was my mindset again going through, because they are going to have a really good deal with Gemini and OpenAI, because right now in terms of when it comes to AI, every AI is actually on, like, on level. So any kind of AI you use right now, especially, it's better. The point is not just integrating AI like they did with the OpenAIs last year, but making them help with their Apple Intelligence is their major thing right now, I will say. So how they integrate it, like they have already partnership with OpenAI, which is not working, I will definitely say. Again, not kind of a big deal there. So my first thing came when they talk about other companies, expect Google's Gemini and OpenAI. I was like, they are trying to be just fair here and trying to make it look like an um, we are giving fair advantage to everyone. Like this market is open for everyone, which is obviously not. Definitely, OpenAI or Gemini is going to be in there, or they will wait a year and make their own. You never know. Like there was also in talks that like there can be an Apple search engine. They have been working in the background. We never know. So let's see what happens there. But the main major problem with the Safari browser, it has never been updated to a point to be used. Like if you want to get an idea of how bad Safari is, try using different browser, at least in the phone. You know, like I use more than four browsers. I have here right now Opera GX, Edge, Chrome, then I have this other one, uh, like Arc. Then now I'm using Safari on my phone too. Like that app that they have never touched like past couple of years too. Like there is never kind of an UI change, so much kind of an design language change that people are appreciate or even try to even use Safari. It's just their default. I'm using it just to see what is new coming there. So fundamentally, Safari is not getting touched that much. I hope in this New Year's WWDC developers event in 20 this year 25 we get some updates regarding Safari. We are like it's one of the most boring browsers, I will definitely say, which is hard to operate, uh easily to not even try to get over. Like that that is the case, at least in my eyes, for Safari. Let's see what happens. Definitely in terms of AI search engines, if Apple comes with their own Apple Intelligence, with their own core search engines, we will definitely let get to know in the Apple Intelligence. If not, their best option is, I will say, OpenAI with their ongoing partnership, or definitely they will have multiple partnership like OpenAI, Gemini, and also I will say Grok, or even uh, so basically what they will be providing is like kind of an how search engines are. Like you can use multiple search engines, just like you can use multiple AI for whatever task you want, unless and until they introduce their own. So you never know. uh, but now that I have also written here also they need to work with multiple companies. Their image has been not good in terms of in front of DOJ and in front of people too, when it comes to taking money and just like, yeah, if you just give us oh unlimited amount of money yearly, yeah, you can, like, people will use your apps, that's it, it's just money. We are playing a money game, which is everyone is, but yeah, that is there is a reason, that is a reason why there is DOJ exists for these kind of companies. So we will take a break here. Yeah, yeah, yes, we will take a break here. After a break, we will talk about some weekly AI news, that is OpenAI and Gemini, which is important, and small news regarding Twitter with its algorithm. So let's take a break, and I will be right back. Let's talk about the new Twitter algorithm thing that Elon Musk again updated us like 2 weeks ago, more than 2 weeks has gone, and what it means is like the new Twitter algorithm has been replaced with the Grok 3 lightweight version, he has said. There is not much kind of a big news, like big specific updates regarding it, what it is actually. But it like they have just said it has been replaced. So according to him, he has said that you might be seeing small progress into your feed, and you will get much good feed which is much more personalized, you can say that to you. uh, I have gone through multiple uh, you can say like things like threads in Twitter too, where getting people opinions if it's actually good or not. A lot of people are saying that it is a gradual change too. If you are seeing some kind of change in your Twitter algorithm, let me know, because I didn't get much, at least in the week one, I will say, when it was first announced. A week two, that is last week and this week, for me, when I'm using Twitter, it has been actually not good, but what it used to be before is better than that, because before it was, there were some like, especially in the follow for you feed, not a following feed was, obviously it is a feed that that is generated the people, like that is feed all about people who you have followed. I don't mind here, but the feed, the for you feed for me was actually a kind of a break, or like don't used to go that much into the for you feed. But after this update, I'm trying to check at least what is going on in the for you page, to let get know what is actually there, changes into this new algorithm. One thing I will say, that there is no randomness in this for you feed. Before there were too many random tweets, it used to suffer, like uh, come into my for you page, where it was a retweet, it was someone like, I don't know why it was on my page that much. It was kind of an annoying to get those kind of feeds. I think for you page ultimately should be a page regarding personalized to me, rather than random one lines or random meme pages, like there were so many random meme and kind of an annoying random accounts that were coming to my feed, which I used to not, that is why the major reason I don't used to use for you page. But I'm seeing for 1 week, it's like at least there are a lot of posts, like from 10 9 of from 10 9 posts at least are the posts that I actually see. So going good, let's see what happens further. It can go horrible wrong too, but I think they are just rolling out gradually, so it is not that kind of a big change for now. So that was kind of a small big news there. Let's talk about the further news, which is kind of an big, which is weekly AI news slash updates. We will go with the Gemini news first. So, Gemini launched 2.5 Pro, that is their IO edition, with improvements in Canvas. You can build interactive web apps with new prompts. So, it is an interesting update. So, if you are a Gemini user, go to Gemini app right now in your web app or whatever you have. Go and click on canvas, and when you click on canvas, you will get a option, like there is a recommended option where you can create your own web apps directly, which is are again not kind of a big apps, but again small apps, but the amount of speed it gives is like crazy. So I will also link down, or you can go do check out. There are some multiple options given by Gemini, what people are generating through this, like giving prompts and generating. Like I have generated a, I will say, a calendar with a to-do list. Like the list I can do, it's in just 2 minutes. Like it took me just 1 minute to write the prompt, and it was not even that big. It was 1 or 2 lines of prompt that I have given to the Gemini, and in just like 1 minute, I think in under 1 minute, 1 or 2 minutes, it gave me entire web app regarding calendar and list, or kind of a to-do list, basic premise. But it was again so insanely fast, impressive. Again, if you want to see my web version of that app, I will link that in the description. You can go check it out and try yourself. if you are a developer, or even like, sorry, developer, not even like if you are student, or even if you are even if you are the student, or even if you are a regular, like you don't need to understand. Like if you want a web app for something like a weather web app, or something kind of an casual game or casual calendar personalized to you, just go and type it, you will get it. Like it is insanely fast and insanely good to have uh, a good good gameplay. um, I will also link down there what the examples they have given to, which is actually good. There are some games to there in there. So yeah, uh, my initial reaction was through this was like, it's just insane how good it was. It was not just fast, but it was so responsive. I had to do nothing in terms of improvements later on, in terms of prompt, in terms of code. I didn't even look at the code. The way it returns so fast and just work so smoothly. Like I was like insanely good how uh, that code worked, and how fast that web app it gives me. So you know, it was just a callback to me also, onto our last two episode before, where we talk about jobs, basically how AI's jobs are going to impact first the software developers. And in that job research, where it was a job research done by like it was a research paper done by Anthropic, and in that research paper you can go and see, and we have also talked in that episode that how software engineers jobs are the first one will be getting strike in terms of AI strike. Basically in terms of job, it will be effective there first, because these models are so getting better and better at coding, where there are I have said there too, and I will say this here too, where there were I think 10-15 people working on a project. Now there are only 4 to 5 people with 10x productive, with this small team with a great amount of tools, these kind of AIs. Also what I talk about in that, and in that research paper is also mentioned, is like small simplistic jobs as a software developer, which where and now are still there, where simple task in software developer, those jobs will definitely work. So if you are doing a job which doesn't involve much kind of an big things, like hard things are involved in your job, you might be getting your job at risk in couple of years, not now. But try thinking, try upskilling your work, because where there are simple work system are included, especially in software development, there definitely AI will take over, and there will be definitely reduction in terms of team sizes. And the ultimate goal of these companies again, to provide, especially from these AI companies, to provide these AI tools to people to get 10x productive and more work get done. We have also talked about how Sam Altman in an interview said that like it's a more about he now, in couple of years it's more about trying to make a better tool rather than just replacing whole people. It is more about if one person can do the job of couple of like 4 to 5 people, why not they should use these tools. So this is where I think the next couple of years, like again we have talked about in our newsletter before too, how like these agents are the much more kind of an uh, job taking threat, I will say, in software development first, because that is where this I think AI first will be used. Then there is investment in financial backing too later on, but it is kind of a long shot. But software developers who are, or even who are trying to be an engineer, especially in software computer engineers who are learning this kind of stuff, I will recommend definitely to much more focus on definitely upskilling your AI skills and to know these tools, but also try to think that in couple of years, like 5 to 6 years, companies when are going to adapt with this AI, you need to adapt with this AI, but also we need to know that small skills like basic skills jobs are not going to be there, and which will be definitely be done by these agents basically, which will be operated by again upper human, and will foresee a lot of things. So it is kind of when that phase we are going definitely with this whole thing, where it is just again an experiment, again kind of an good it works really well, but again it's kind of a simple small stuff. But what I said before too, like jobs who have simple tasks will definitely will be the first one to replace in software development. So rethinking on that is definitely important. Upskilling is important as much as important as learning something new. So this was the Gemini big news that happened, and I even tried it. You can try it. It is available for free every user. So if you are a student, Gemini Advanced is free for you for 1 year. And but if you are just regular person who wants to see this, I will link down my canvas, that what the web app I have created with link down in the description. But I will also link down their web apps too, so you can go try and just check it out. It is insanely good. Try your own apps. Let me know what you work on with. So let's talk about the further news, which is kind of a big and this important discussion topic that we are going to talk about is about OpenAI's uh, new blog that they have posted, and how they, you know, update their models, and how they review before deployment, and what the safety measures they take, like a lot of things. So let's talk about that. So last week we talk about, like last episode we talk about the O4s, how horrible the update was. Basically it evolved into something different with the responses it was given on, and ChatGPT OpenAI has made a post regarding it, and they rolled back within 24 hours. But last week they also made again a blog post about in depth regarding what their process is, what their process are, what their take on this was, and how it happened, why it happened, those kind of stuff. So let's get into it, because couple of major things that they talk about is like how they update their models and how it works, and how they currently review model before deployment. So basically they review model and update how they updates, and also what went wrong with this launch kind of a thing. They also talk about that. We are also going to talk about that too. Then also couple of my thoughts, and yeah, let's see some couple of basic news at the end. But talking about how ChatGPT updates their model, here are a couple of points you should know that. So they take a pre-trained model, base model. So basically if they are making a new model with the new sets of new multiple, with new code, with new something update regarding it, they take a base model. So basically if they are working on ChatGPT 4.0, they will be taking ChatGPT 4 or ChatGPT 3 point, like the previous model which already has launched and is kind of an pretty much solid and update. So basically they take a previous model fine-tuned with ideal responses written by human or previous model. Basically, they work on the base model, basically a previous model, and on that they fine-tune means is basically they work on new responses, how it gives it, and how the response is depending upon the previous model. So basically they just compare it regarding previous model, how faster it is, how better it is than previous model, and they also compare it with the humans written response too. So both are there. After that they give prompts and rating based system is there. So basically giving prompts and rating the responses, and they try to get high rated response mostly, and their most objective goal in that process is to get less likely to produce low rate responses. High rate responses means basically getting a perfectly good response or averagely good response every other time you give prompt to it. That is what high rated response is. Then they define the correct set of reward signals is basically uh, are the answers correct, are the answers helpful, or the whole answers that they are getting from this new model that they have written with new set of code lines with new training over basic models, is it aligning towards their model spec. If you don't know what is model spec is kind of a base for every model they make. Basically it is a framework that they're all that it need, like it is a framework that it needs that all their models be in it. They don't want it to cross the model specs kind of and rules that they have already created, which is a kind of a limitation, not a limitation but a kind of a safety thing that they don't want to go overboard and just like kind of and go into that. They need to know their limits and their rules regarding how they are going, like so they have model spec that we have already talked before about model spec. I will link down what is model spec and ChatGPT model spec in the description. Every AI model has their own models kind of a spec, like Anthropic has their own AI kind of, they called it AI constitution. They have fed it with it. So a lot of companies have their own AI company with their own model spec, and OpenAI has their own too. So the model, the training of that model needs to be in that all box check, like high rated response and within their own model spec. Now they have a review system too before deployment the model. So in review system they have couple of points too. Offline evaluation. Offline evaluation means they review or basically evaluate the data with the help of already data sets they have. They have basically already existed data set they already have or bought it from someone to review that model that they have created, that like we talked before how they create their models, update their models basically, and review in such as math code and chat conversation. The data is regarding previous models. So basically if they have data regarding previous models like regarding math, regarding code and chat conversation, they just compare it to them and review it there too. So it is kind of an offline evaluation. Why is it called offline evaluation? Because it is done offline with the data set too, like it is not deployment, it is done by people. Spot checks and error check whether model is giving answers according to the model spec. uh, is it useful responses? So basically again same is like the behavior of the model is it is it within the model spec, or the responses it is giving, or is it even helpful or not. That is the point of spot checks and errors. Then they talk about safety evaluation with harsh prompts within it, like you can add, like I don't want to say those words, within health regarding kind of and stuff, which and also extreme thoughts, extreme ideas, where they also check the safety evaluation in terms of depth, what kind of answers that they are giving in this kind of sector, where if it is asked in the questions regarding these sensitive topics and they don't want to hallucinate, or even give highly wrong, not just wrong but highly insensitive response towards this kind of stuff. And they again uh, have a system card they talk about. System cards are public for safety tests before launch. This is just an overall evaluation which doesn't block law doesn't block of the overall model. What does that mean is like every model has their own system cards. System cards, I will link down that below. It is a kind of an, you can say, a review system for every model. Review system that is kind of that review system is where they talk about how this model should be, what it model in depth. But the review system that we talked before, like the error spotlight, that is not, that evaluation system is doesn't block the launch of the model, which should happen basically, but they are not doing it. So after that, they do some A/B testing with small number of people with thumbs up and thumbs down feedback, just like what you do now. Now that is kind of an A/B test with small number of pre-test users. You can think so. Then these were about how they do the review system. Now with this review system, there are a lot of things that are still not, and they addressed it, which is good, because if they have not addressed these issues with their review system, which is there in their review system, which should be more again in depth, and which also should be include now the emotional angles, how emotionally ChatGPT responses are now too. But let's go further and talk about what went wrong with the previous launch. So basically, they were in hurry. What I have read in the blog, this system overall, there were signs of delay. You can see that like the review system is not good. Like they don't have uh, how emotional response this reviews like this model can get. There is no, again, lot of steps involved that they have talked with. Later we will talk about it, but like they did have minor problems, but they overlooked it, and they have admitted in this blog post, which is a good thing. They have opted a new opt-in alpha testing prior to launch testing for users. um, Basically it is kind of an alpha test, is like kind of an early testing before deployment. They need more eval, like I said before, with behavior process model and not rush before launched. Need improvements in their AB system, AB system testing. Model behavior error is now launch blocking, just like other safety. So basically, before, if model behavior was not something up to the mark, they used to overlook that thing, and they just used to launch that model. But this backfired the same. This is the same reason that backfired OpenAI right now. So with the new update they have given us, that the model behavior error, whatever happens while testing, they will block the launch of the new model, which is a good thing. So also they talk about why they are now considering behavior measures is one of the most important, and I also think so. It's because people are using AI models in their daily lives, like with getting advice, info, basic, like into their daily lives, like even getting advice regarding something that is happening in their life, advice regarding something small stuff like how, what should I do response in this scenario, what should I do this in this scenario, which is kind of an get, you can, it can get up to a lot of things, like from professional stuff to the personal response to the, in terms of when it comes to friendship, when it comes to relationship with your family, or even with the boss, like this kind of stuff are also people asking that. So to understand it needs to understand, OpenAI ChatGPT needs to understand the behavior of that, what the situation is too. And that did not happen with the last update, and so they need to be more careful now with this, because people are much more using AI, especially when it is much more getting really accessible, especially in mobile apps, and how good it is getting in terms of voice communication, especially this time. So this was the major problems people when AI is being used widely. Again, where behavior can be the major problem. Like it was kind of a speculation, but yeah, behavior can lead, like wrong behavior can lead to a lot of bad stuff. And not, it's not about just relying, but it's about having that kind of a tool in your hand that on daily basis you use it and it is just not working quite good. And um, and we are not even getting into the personal people advice that are getting on day to day, people are using it, so it can get dangerous. So it is one of the most major setbacks of AI, like any kind of tool. AI has these setbacks, and I hope people just get to know that, like, when it comes to AI, when it comes to any kind of new technology, obviously there should be a trust, but there should be also self-awareness about the thing what you are getting into, because you just can't trust anything blindly. Like, it's not just in technology, but in everything. But when it comes to, like, it's like they need to do better job from their side, and that's why we, in this technology, when it's always in this early stage, it's like highly unusual to just rely on stuff. Like, when the phones were coming on in the first, like, third, fourth generation, like, people were not that much reliable with it, is because of with, and there were some people with which was so reliable on the phones, and how they were introduced, being like your daily driver, like messaging, but they were not, like, they were having low battery life, like in seven, like, low batteries. There were so many wrong with that system. Same with the AI right now. So self-awareness is important when you are using this technology. Kind of an this error was expected, but let's see. uh, at least we get to know their review system and how they updates their model, which is kind of a big deal, which is again not kind of a, like, when it comes to updating your model, you will obviously get a pre-trained model. Like, again, I assume it was this thing, but again, it was kind of a confirmation, and we got to know in depth regarding it. So go read the blog post. I will link down in the description if you want. So let's talk further and talk about the a tweet did by OpenAI regarding OpenAI new structure in their company, and they tweet was like four basic things they want to share, especially right now on Twitter. They shared it. I will read those 4 points, and it's just insane. But, like, yeah, OpenAI will continue to be controlled by current non-profit. Basically, last 2 weeks ago, they announced their non-profit advisory commission. So that is that non-profit group. Our existing for-profit will become a public benefit corporation. Non-profit will control and be significant owner of PBC, that is Public Benefit Corporation. Non-profit and PBC, Public Benefit Corporation, will continue to have the same mission. This public benefit corporation, like, these are the 4 points, but this public benefit corporation just feels like a different word for profit, just to get away from it. uh, One thing I have always talked about with this, any kind of company, any kind of stuff, that where it has become from non-profit to for profit, like, and I have said again before also, like, it is like unfortunate, but it is the truth of, or the reality of the world right now, that if OpenAI was not for profit, no one would have invested, especially Microsoft. They needed a kind of a solid proof of a company that they can rely on, and that's why it has become for profit, I think. Before also, a couple of months ago, they have become for profit. But if you don't know, OpenAI was a non-profit organization that was started for research and development of AI, and to ensure the safety regarding AI. But again, it is now a for-profit, and you can definitely see, when it comes to for-profit, the amount of work they are doing, because obviously there are investments and there are expectations from the people and the daily users, not just people, but also from daily users too. Now they have become for-profit. But now, with this new structure updates that they have given, when the non-profit advisory commission was announced, my my whole response regarding that news was, we will see if they do the work, we will see if what kind of work they do, we will see what happens. you know just because you have announced something kind of an advisory commission just in the name, I don't buy it. If they work and do something better for non-profit organizations with the help of AI, I will definitely cover that news. But when they announced it, it just felt like kind of an, uh, kind of an the thing they needed to do for the PR. And this is the same thing I think it happens, like how they are talking that is public benefit corporation and non-profit is going to be controlling OpenAI, which is obviously not. It is in the name and talking about how we are still non-profit and kind of an PR stunt from OpenAI, it looks like. But okay, I don't mind ultimately that if they are going for profit or non-profit. Ultimately, we need AI with its good tools and safety regarding it, definitely, and its deployment in necessary stuff, especially in terms of real life cases, not just technology and not just coding that we are talking mostly right now, but especially when it comes to, there has been no implementation of AI in terms of real life, or like in terms of agriculture, in terms of construction, in terms of like a lot of things, like in terms of equipments too. So I hope we get that in future, like in long term. But I let's see how OpenAI will play a big role, like in like their non-profit and public benefit corporation, especially non-profit, because they have multiple diverse group of members I have talked about before in the two weeks ago in that episode. uh, but again, this tweet looks like a public star, like how they are still uh, kind of a non-profit and PBC, public benefit corporation company, will have the same mission. Let's see what happened. It like what we will see the work. Again, same thing I'm going to say that I have talked before, that we will see the work what they will be doing. So that is it for I think structure of OpenAI that they talked about. I'm not going to go in depth reading their blog. It's just not going to benefit, like it is not going to be useful for us, at least for now. If they do something work, I will do cover up and we will appreciate them, but now it is not the time. So new CEO of application is also announced by OpenAI, which is Fidji Simo. I hope I'm pronouncing right her name. I think, yeah, she's co-founder of Metro Donest Focus. Um, I will link down her. I will say sh- she she is also CEO and chair at Instacart too. If you don't know Instacart, it is a kind of an, oh, sorry, I thought it was okay. I thought no, uh, I thought Instacart was like, basically we have also something like same like that, but it's a different thing. Okay, okay, okay. Mm, she is co-founder of Metro Dentist, advancing care, diagnostic, and therapeutic for living people living with complex multi. Okay. So Fiji is like we don't have much like I don't like I don't I'm not I have not I didn't plan to talk about much about her. I was just at her Twitter profile to see who she what she does. But she is a new CEO of application in OpenAI, Fidji Fid Fidji Simo. You can go check it out. Open Sam Altman also gave us the Project Target update. If you don't know Project Target is a $500 billion investment in US about AI and its factories, which was announced during inauguration of Trump's. presidency couple of months, 2 months ago, and it is a big project that they have been involved, and it was like again rough not controversy, like again Elon Musk tweeted about how they don't have a $500 billion, and then Samuel, like how OpenAI doesn't have a $500 billion in them, and but Satya talk about how he has his own, like, so in that $500 billion project, it's there is Microsoft, OpenAI, Oracle. These are 3 to 4 companies there. I'm not remembering the fourth one, but there are 4 to 5 companies that are involved in this whole project that are going to give uh, with this target project, which obviously Elon Musk is not involved, uh, which is green lighted by President Trump. I think it is a Stargate project, which is kind of a big project by them. So Elon Musk said at that time that the OpenAI doesn't have that much amount of money. Then Satya, in an interview, Satya was being interviewed and been asked that what uh, like Elon Musk said that they don't have the money, and he just replied that I have my own. I don't know about others, but I have my own $80 billion invested in them. And Elon replied to them, he has his own money. Like again, some random thing that why I don't know why I go to that tangent. It's just Elon Musk shit doing Elon Musk shit. Okay, so but I just wanted to give you that project target update. He give us a photo there. So yeah, that's it. That's it for OpenAI news. uh, Interesting things happen, but yeah, these were some couple of news that I want to talk about this week. I think uh, there are some kind of a good updates this week, but we will talk them about in the next episode. Let me know what do you want, like do you want me to cover the Google monopoly case, or do you want me to cover other cases especially going on? Let me know, because majority of the stuff I mostly cover is the discussion stuff, like we talk about today, uh OpenAI, how the review model, how the update model, those kind of stuff. We talk about research paper, we talk about mostly AI. The reason I talk about that is because the reason the things that you can use it, basically it's like uh, in this tech industry, the products, I can't get products right now. I don't have that kind of money to just get a phone or laptop to just review and give you kind of a thoughts about that, at least for now. But what I can use AI, any kind of software, any kind of news regarding what is happening in the tech, that is the stuff that I can give you. So let me know what news should I cover, what software products, what apps do you want me to cover, what companies cases you want me to cover in the comment section, which is again I will definitely cover it. Let me know just down in the comment section. So yeah, I think that's it for this week's episode of Tech Guy podcast. There was not much kind of a lot of news, but there was small news but kind of a big there were small couple of numbers, but quite a big lot of to discuss there. So yeah, any kind of future updates to it, I will definitely cover it. We do cover a lot of things. Um, yeah, regarding the this week podcast, I'm also working on the intro. Intro is one of the most hardest thing to work on this podcast. Like how what kind of intro I want, because in that intro is going to be at least to the rest of the year or two, because I don't want to change intro that much. So I'm working on an intro which is simple to do, but also can be work at least for 1 year or two, so that I don't want to change it again later. We are working on other stuff, other channels. Uh, Definitely do subscribe to this channel, which supports and help me to grow. So yeah, that is it for this week episode of the Tech Guy podcast. I hope you guys see you in the next week. We are going to do like 22 episodes are done. So that is it for this week episode of the Tech Guy podcast. I will see you guys in the next week with a new episode of the Tech Guy podcast. Friday evening mostly. That is Indian time evening. If you are in US, if you are a US watcher, that you will get that episode in the morning, which is again good. Again good. So yeah, that is it for this week episode. Let me know what are your thoughts regarding this case. Let me know what are your opinions regarding OpenAI's new board, new structure, lot of things. Like commenting down is the biggest thing like you can do for me, like for like having that conversation is important with you. So let me know, comment down, comment down. So that is it for this week episode. See ya, bye.